Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Nima. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's my son's birthday on Saturday.
How old? That's nice.
5.
Wow.
If you see, wait for my write-up. Whenever every year Imran comes, the write-up, I'm emotional, grateful.
Because we know the story.
All the way. I'm grateful to God. And the young man is...
School has started. How was their first day of school yesterday?
I didn't take them yesterday.
Oh, you said so.
I went to the school, and I'm a worried white parent. Even me, I need help. The school tired for me. What did I not ask? I sat down with the administrator, and the guy at some point was saying, "Madam, we appreciate your advice. We appreciate," but I knew I was worrying him. I'm a worried one. I'm checking the list, and I wasn't satisfied. But we're just grateful to God. Imran was talking about what he wanted, and I'm thinking this boy is not just outgrowing all these things. He's in his own world. I mean, cars. Can I get a car? Can drive? Okay. As in, that's where you are now. At 5. He just wants fast cars, spoilers, speed. I was just looking at him that, well, I'm just grateful. The expression, I'm just grateful. I'm just at that point where I'm grateful to God. I'm thanking God.
How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. I'm very excited because one of my bosom friends, today is her birthday. Modube Oseni. You know Hannah Yakalid. That day, she is a friend. She's a sister. She used to be my. She's still my hairstylist. She's my makeup artist. She's my shopper. She's my everything. Once I need something, Yakalid is a call away. She's my plug. She's my lifetime plug. She's the kind of person that if I ever want to relocate abroad, she will come with me because I can't just live without Yakalid. She's my everything. Happy birthday, darling. She's the most hardworking woman I know, very industrious. There's nothing, she's always willing to learn. She listens, she wants to do better, she keeps developing herself. She's my party for life. Happy birthday. God bless you. I know you are going to bill me for your gifts, but you
can't be with you and not developed. Can't you be you'll be
I'm sure you see herself is learning from her.
Yeah,
that's the funny thing about people like that. Yeah. You see them, you think they're picking off you, but what you're learning from them is much more.
Yeah, that's
happy birthday.
I really love her. Yeah, she's a lot better now. She's raising 3 kids all by herself, and you will never hear her complain that life is dealing with her. She's always optimistic, always ready to do the work, and I just pray that God keeps blessing her, more amazingly. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's times that are different, seasons up and down. This is one of those seasons where I just need to continue to trust God for the best. But it's all good. But
you'll be fine.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah,
I mean, it will happen in His own time.
Amen.
Okay, let's go on a break. There's so much happening. The papers, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. I guess I can also remind our viewers to please take their vaccines. It's really important that we beat coronavirus by ensuring ourselves and the loved ones around us take the vaccine as soon as you can. Okay, let's start with the nation. Panic in FCT Kwara Ekiti. Over 240 fleeing inmates. 4 died, 6 vehicles swept away in Abuja flood. Appeal Court President, judges pay poor, judiciary underfunded. ICPC invites ex-IG, DG budget and others. IPOB stops pupils from sitting for their WAEC exams in the southeast. And Fitch upgrades Lagos government to AAA rating. Okay, let's have a major headline, the panic. The fleeing inmates, who has that story?
Yes, I have. I took the story, and gunmen attacked the correctional facility in Kaba, Kogi State, resulting in the escape of 240 inmates. Right now, the whereabouts of the inmates are not known, and the Kogi State government is raising security red alerts and seeking information of the movement of the escapees. They are asking, the escapees to, volunteer themselves back, or else they will face the law. So the police in Kwara, Edo, Osun, Ekiti, and Niger are taking measures to secure the state boundaries, and all hands are on deck. They are seeking support from all the security officials to find how they can get this inmate. I want to quickly tell a story. So someone very close to me was abducted, kidnapped recently, and he was released by ransom. And where he was, the people who kidnapped him confessed to him that they were some of the people who ran out of the correctional facility some time ago, yes, and they have nowhere to stay. They have nowhere to stay, nowhere to go, and they just have to make money. They have to make ends meet, and they confess to the person they kidnapped.
Oh my God.
On this. So right now we don't know nowhere is safe because we don't know where these guys are. The police need to do more to get these people
on this
back.
one, Shad, they've, according to another report, they've been able to get back 99 inmates. They've also enlisted the help of Interpol to help comb more of the inmates, but it's sad.
It's sad, though.
That government would drive to our own institutions, the NDA now, the prisons, and they would have a raid. They killed a police officer, they killed an army, a soldier on patrol, and they took 2 workers within the prisons. Till now, they don't know the state or whereabouts of those workers. Yeah. I hope this provokes a reaction, We expect it to provoke a reaction beyond what is happening in Zamfara now.
Okay, there was another story in Nation.
In the appeal court.
Appeal court, go ahead,
So the
please.
president of the appeal court, as during the opening of the new appeal court here, decided to talk about the state of their welfare. And I must applaud her for this because this is a largely silent area. She talked about their salaries, an annual salary, or basic salary of a chief justice of the appeal court is about 3 million. When you put it down in breakdown, it's about 270-something thousand, less than 300,000 naira monthly. And the other appeal court justices take home about 1.9 million basic annual salary. So when you break that down, of course, that's about 160-something thousand naira monthly for an appeal court judge. That's a higher court. And so I wonder what the Federal High Court judges are going on with. It's just painful that, she talked about the state of the infrastructure within the appeal court, and the last time it was renovated. These salaries, according to them, is static. It's not changing under the civil service payment. It's the same. For the past 10 years, there's been no growth, no change, nothing. Right. You don't expect those people not to be. You need to do the best to provide welfare. I know they give housing, they do other benefits for them, but you need to do the best for the judges for us to have a sacrosanct, independent justice system. So
okay, I was going to take 2 stories in Nation. The AAA rating, congratulations to Lagos State.
Yes.
Commissioner for Finance, Dr. Rabiu Olo, was saying yesterday that for the Fitch ratings published the year 2020-2021, that Lagos State was given the AAA because of its good standing in terms of its debt sustainability and resilience. So it means that we are paying our BC. And that's a good thing. It was signed by Mr. Andrew Parkinson, yes, in plain English.
We are paying BC.
And we are good for more debts. We can actually, so unlike Nigeria that is just borrowing and cannot pay, we borrow and we can have, we have the capacity to pay back. Okay.
The IPOB quickly. Yeah, so WAEC examinations were disrupted across the southeast yesterday. This one particularly happened in Comprehensive Secondary School, Imo State, in Kume, in Jaba local government area of Imo State. They said the hoodlums just went into the compound and they burnt at about 8:30 a.m. and they burnt all the motorcycles parked on the premises and drove the teachers, the students out of the classroom that they were supposed to enforce the IPOB state at home. And the governments of these several states in the southeast have been saying that people can now move, go to work. They are allowed to go to work. If they see anybody who disrupts them, they should report. It's quite scary that a lot of students were not even able to come to class for their examinations because of fear of what the hoodlums will do to them. So it's not just about talk. I think the government is somehow handicapped, and they need to do more to protect the people who they want to go out and do work. They issue threats to workers that if you don't come, if you are a seller, you don't come to your shop, your shop will be taken away from you. And yet there is no protection for them when they now come out. I don't know what's happening.
Moving on now to The Punch. Military onslaught in Zamfara. Dislodged bandits flee southwards. Gunmen strike in Kogi, Kaduna, Ekiti. Indigenous nationalists demand referendum as UN protest starts today. Sex workers slit Lagos traders' stomach with blade and victim dies. EFCC raids Ogun government hotel, others harboring fraudsters and arrest 56. Osun liquor trader stabs customer to death, reports self. Nigeria records 46 cholera deaths, over 1,600 cases in 1 week. VAT judgment, FIRS may lose 92 billion naira revenue to states. Another strike looms as ASU warns. Okay, story are we taking?
It's a major headline. You know, there's been a military offensive against bandits in Zamfara, and this has sort of dispelled them from the forest, but now they're taking refuge in various states. According to this Punch report, top security officials say that they've been on alert about these bandits taking refuge in states across. And Amotekun Corps in Ekiti, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo states are, in separate interviews, agreed that they are all on alert, waiting and protecting their forests, that they have intelligence that they'll be taking refuge in the Ondo Forest Reserve, and that the bandits are spreading along the southwest. I think that this is where I would have expected this to work. It should not be just an offensive from Zamfara. They should be well coordinated at offensive around the country at the time, so that whether they run off or it's either they are caught or they are killed. They
won't find anywhere to hide.
But so that's the way it would have been. But now other Southwest security agencies, particularly the Amotekun, are on top of this, and hopefully they would be able to help us prevent them regrouping from all these states.
I have a human interest story. So a trader, Sunday Emmanuel, lost his life after a suspected sex worker identified as Precious allegedly slit his stomach with a blade at Festac. So they had an argument. This particular sex worker usually comes around that hotel to search for customers. And then this particular customer, they had an altercation, and then she brought out a knife and just slit the stomach. And the guy was running after her. He fell down and died immediately. So she took a bike and was meant to run away. Luckily, the bike man drove her straight to Festac police station. Yes, because he witnessed what happened. So he just took her there and quickly reported her. The police held on to her. He now went back and told the owner of the hotel. This happened opposite the hotel, but, you know, they were coming out of the hotel. So told the owner of the hotel what had happened because, you know, according to him, the story might go the other way, and then they'll start harassing the owner of that hotel. Yeah. So the case is in police custody. Investigations are ongoing. That's a good Samaritan Nigerian for doing that.
Yes. She actually stayed to be taken to the police. I mean,
she entered the bike.
Hey, so when you reach police station,
man has control now. You're controlling.
Yeah,
take me somewhere.
Take me somewhere, and he just zoomed.
But because he had witnessed the crime, he said okay and took her to Area E command.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, was it hard as I take me to the Iraqi?
No.
I'm saying, so me that I
witnessed what happened.
Now me I enter bike, I do something. I'll now follow you.
We don't jump out of the bike.
If he didn't tell you,
I run away.
No, if he didn't tell you and he get because Area E command is on the second Avenue Drive, and the police officers are usually on the road.
Yeah, so you can't run away.
You can't run away.
I'm just trying to picture it in my head. Okay. So the chairman of the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, Professor Banji Akintoye, as many of us know, and other leaders from the South, Middle Belt are all in the United Nations right now, in the U.S., in New York, actually, for a 1 million-man march. According to them, is scheduled to hold today to start the 76th United Nations General Assembly. And he said that they're expecting the protest to draw attention of world leaders to the state-sponsored terrorism against the people of the Middle Belt and southern Nigeria. So they're talking to the herders and saying that the federal government is funding and they must declare Miyetti Allah a terrorist group. And they're asking that all Nigerians across the diaspora should come and join them.
There's also another human interest story, another painful one. Seller of locally brewed liquor, what we know as Ogogoro, got into a fight with one of his customers. I think they got into an argument, and then he broke a bottle, stabbed him in the stomach, stabbed him in the neck, and that one died immediately. He reported himself to the police. So I was wondering, was it premeditated? Why do you do that and then take yourself to the police? I think we need to work on how we handle issues. It was just an argument, and they didn't tell us exactly what they argued about, but I can bet you it has nothing more than football.
Okay, we have to go on a quick break. When we return, we continue with the reviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So still on Punch, we're going to take a story. Nigeria records 46 cholera deaths and 1,677 cases in 1 week. This is quite alarming. It says that no fewer than 46 deaths, and I think this case is between two major states. Sokoto, of the 46 deaths, Borno State has the highest figure with 13 deaths, followed by Sokoto with 12 deaths. 8 deaths were also recorded in Katsina, 6 were recorded in Bauchi. NCDC released these figures, and they're saying that these are worrisome figures, and I mean it's going up to 1,600 number of people who already they've not died, but they have cholera, and they're being treated by the hospital. And they're asking Nigerians to be careful and keep their surroundings clean, because these numbers can actually climb higher and also spread to other states. Okay, let's move on quickly now to Vanguard. FG seeks Interpol's help as 240 escape in the Kogi jailbreak. Sit-at-home mayhem as gunfire rocks schools and cities. Picture here of little kids says pupils of Adiola Tower School wash hands as school resumes for a new school year in Lagos. Kidnapped Zamfara students regain freedom. SGF Health Minister urged resident doctors to call off strike. Declare Miyetti Allah terrorist organization, according to it tells United Nations. COVID-19, Fitch upgrades Lagos rating for debt, sustainability and resilience. 100 days of Twitter ban. Twitter's market share drops to 2.8%. Facebook and Instagram also gain. First Bank wins Private Bank of the Year. And VAT, presidency faults Wike denies shortchanging the South for the North. Okay, which story?
Twitter ban.
Twitter ban.
So, because I took the report yesterday that 100 days and Nigerian businesses that have suffered. But this report in the Vanguard, according to StatCounter, a global social media statistics platform, as of May 2021, Twitter had a market share of 25.52%, but this has drastically dropped to 2.8%. The wideness is too much. 25.52% to 2.8% as at August 2021. However, Facebook, that had 56.46% as at May, suddenly went to 76.87%, while Instagram, that had about 5.25%, is now 11.47% growth. Obviously, most of those on the page moved.
Their businesses.
Yes, and this has affected Twitter. So let's not go and get cool and say that Twitter is not bothered. Because according to the same report, a lot of Nigerians, especially the leaders, governors of some states, according to them, they mentioned them and I don't want to bother about that, have moved with the VPN to Twitter. So they are still tweeting, but they're using the virtual whatever platform to do it. So they're doing it, but
okay.
They've lost.
I was going to take the VAT. So Ajuri was speaking, you know, he's the special assistant on public affairs to the president. He was speaking on a TV station yesterday talking about the VAT. And according to him, he said that 60% of the VAT Nigeria earns belongs to the federal government. According to him, it comes from the ports. And then second largest comes from the various contracts given out by the MDAs and other ministries. So it is wrong for any state to act as if they are the ones generating the most revenue. And also saying that nobody's cheating or trying to take away the VAT from the states, that the chunk of the VAT actually is generated by the federal government. I'm not really sure that's what the states are saying. The states are saying, listen, the one that we generate, let us keep it.
Should have control of it.
Distribute along levels based on revenue. Based on revenue.
They want to take hold of what they generate as a state.
Yes. No,
because they complain.
Not just that.
Okay.
When the federal government takes, they go and for some reason they split across certain factors that are not favorable to the state. The states are now saying we cannot generate. Lagos, for instance, 55% of the whole VAT is generated, but that's not what is paid. Even less than 20% is what is paid to Lagos State.
Okay.
And Lagos State, because of the level of infrastructure with the state and the kind of businesses that are actually around the port, there are certain of their businesses that affect the state's otherwise.
Yes.
So that they need revenue to put in place.
For example,
so they want to gain control at the end of the day of what they generate.
Let's generate and take over what we generate.
So it's the same thing. But
so the students
go ahead.
from Zamfara State that were kidnapped have been released after 13 days in captivity to the governor Bello Matawale of Zamfara State. And the story I read clearly for whether ransom was paid or what reason, how they were released, but we didn't have details of the release. Just taking over. We were just released by the bandits.
There's a story I wanted to take there, but the story is quite heavy, so I'll just try and state what it says, and I won't go into details. So the chairman of the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination, Professor Banji Akintoye, is urging the United Nations to proscribe Miyetti Allah a terrorist organization. So they gave all the reasons why they wanted that to happen. And according to him, he said they're going to be taking an 11 days walk in New York, where they're going to be talking about crimes against humanity, press freedom, and other criminalities that happen in Nigeria. So I think I'll just leave this story here, because we already... But he said, no, the story is deep. Yeah, but he also said something that he was able to differentiate the herdsmen who are causing all of these issues from the nomadic herdsmen. They are foreigners from ISWAP and all of that. So I think that's the direction the UN should look into, how we can curb all of those foreigners who come into our nation.
But then the UN will only try. The Nigeria that they are, we've not been able to specify how to differentiate. They said when we come out to defend, we don't separate, we just defend them.
Okay, moving on quickly to the Nigerian Tribune. Gunmen kill policeman, soldiers, free 266 inmates. Talked about that earlier. Anambra governors move to banks, markets to stop IPOB. We mentioned that. Let's find another story. Gunmen attack travelers in Ekiti. Abducts 4, kill 12 in Kaduna village. Flood ravages Abuja estate, kills 4 and destroys cars. 75 abducted Zamfara students freed. Bandits set house of Zamfara speaker ablaze. COVID-19, Lagos records 25 related deaths, 401 infections in 3 days. And over 7,000 nurses leave Nigeria for greener pastures yearly, says registrar. Okay.
COVID-19.
Yes.
So this is more like a data given. So Lagos State's Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, disclosed that the state recorded 25 COVID-19 related deaths and 401 infections. They also talked about the fact that between September 9 and September 11, the state reported 7 COVID-19 related deaths on each day, while it recorded 11 deaths on September 11. So we have state fatalities to 605, and the commissioner said that 7,380 COVID-19 tests were conducted on the reported cases. So I think also in Edo State, they mentioned that COVID-19 claimed a 33-year-old woman and 15 other people just within 72 hours. So they're still asking us to ensure that we are vaccinated. We still, even after the vaccinations, we need to follow the guidelines, make sure we wash our hands, use our sanitizers, and limit our, interactions with other people to protect ourselves. COVID-19 is still very much here.
7,000 nurses. Who has that story? Over 7,000 professional nurses leave the country for greener pastures, according to the Secretary General Registrar of the Nursing Midwifery Council of Nigeria, NMCN. Very, very scary story. It says that in the respect that... you have the story.
Yeah, so they had a workshop where, according to them, they said they plan to train nurses every 2 years, have that workshop, and they are happy that we have qualified nurses who are even worthy to work in our system and also travel out of the country. But the problem now is a lot of them are leaving the shores of Nigeria to work elsewhere, and we need to do something about it. That was just basically.
But, I have to do a paper on this thing called something. Everything.
Something about
it. We have to do something. I mean, I have to do a research.
Something is a lot.
We have to find what this something means. From education to healthcare to insecurity to flooding. No, I'm saying everywhere we will do something about it. Somebody got to do research on that.
Yeah,
got to find out something. Yeah, nobody knows what it is. Daily Trust. How communication failure caused deadly attacks on troops in Zamfara. Anambra governor leads protest against IPOB. 4 die, others in this flood that happened in Abuja. NNPC allegations of manipulation take shine off historic profit. Terrorist bandits freed in Kogi jailbreak. Tales of agony as Yauri students clock 90 days in captivity and 32 APC citizens justice for sack power minister seat. Okay. I was going to take these, the Anambra...
Have you found it? Okay, let me quickly take the major story. So we know that Zamfara is launching, Zamfara State and the federal government is launching an offensive attack on the bandits. And, but something happened. So they said government killed 12, so the government came into their base and killed 12 security personnel comprising 9 naval ratings, 2 policemen and a soldier during the raid on, in the base Muntumji, near the banditry-ravaged town. And one of the reasons they gave was the fact that they were not able to communicate. So you know that the network, telecommunications are taken off network from Zamfara so that the government can carry out this offensive raid. And they were talking, the stakeholders in that state were happy about it, saying that they are actually seeing results of the raid being carried out. However, it wasn't well planned. The federal government did not plan it properly. And so the gadgets that were supposed to be used by the soldiers were not properly given to them. So they had no gadgets and they were relying on their phones, which had no network. And so these bandits were able to come in and they killed men. I think before we launch some of these attacks, we need to ask experts how they are handled so that we don't get into the middle and then, we did not plan it well, we did not think about it and all of that. It's just
we have to wrap up.
But I think that cannot drown the level of success taking off the telecommunications in Zamfara State has achieved. So
the governor of Anambra State himself went around opening stores because people were saying that some trade unions are complaining that economy obviously wasn't running in the state, and it was important that they had to kickstart that by getting people to open their stores. Some motor parks were open, but the shops in there didn't open because they were all scared of their lives. And I'm just praying that as he's opening these stores, I hope he's also giving security to protect this, because these children that were chased away, I mean, from doing the exams, that's fear right there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue our topic on hot. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So as school resumed this week, ladies of Your View are concerned about the news we're hearing from the southeast. According to reports, comprehensive school Nkume in Njaba local government area of Imo State were on Monday chased out from the examination hall by suspected Indigenous Peoples of Nigeria IPOB operatives. They were forced to adhere to sit-at-home order while they were about to write English examination of WAEC. Now, this is quite worrisome because we understand what this means. They're likely to lose a whole year of school because of this. Now, what are your thoughts? We'd like to open our phone lines, especially for those of you sitting in the southeast of experienced this or heard about this news. What are your thoughts on this? How do we how do we stop this from happening? How do we find a way to get the students to write an examination or even appeal to WAEC to give them an opportunity to sit again? You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also send us messages on YouTube and on Facebook. We'll be happy to read your messages. So, I mean, this report, I'd like to get your initial thoughts on it because we've heard about the sit at home, the fact that there was an economic lockdown in the state. The governor went and forcefully opened up stores. When it comes to children, education, not writing examination, and the most important subjects, mathematics and English. What came to you when you read this report?
My take on this is, no matter the agitations that IPOB have, IPOB need well-educated, well-informed youth to take over this agenda. The Biafra agitation did not start with them. People who started it have passed. Generations to come will need to be informed to know how to fight it. So we don't just start fighting ourselves over nothing. when a person does not understand his history well, he doesn't even know which decisions to make in his future. So I don't expect that IPOB will say, because we want a Biafra nation, we will not write an exam within Nigeria. The truth is, whether there's IPOB tomorrow, once it's given tomorrow, the generation that will come will not just get educated in IPOB by IPOB standards overnight. They need to have some form of education. So there should be exceptions to this sit-at-home order. There should be reasonability within certain levels for their sit-at-home. Right now, businesses are losing money. In fact, the most irrational, the most illogical thing I've seen in my life is the burning down of a full truck of spare parts on a Monday.
So painful.
That's loss of millions to the businessman. And it is not of any gain to IPOB members. You understand? It's easy, like the guest yesterday was talking, he said, yeah, if you don't have the mindset to build, you should not have the mindset to destroy. It's easy to destroy. You know, that truck burning, the loss of the parts, everything, is not going to gain IPOB anything except noise. And if the person you are talking to already considers what you're saying noise, you find better ways to reach that person by communicating better, not by burning and losing money. You've made the businessman lose.
Let me come
and
to
there's no gain.
your thoughts on this issue of sit at home.
I've always said that when the purpose of the thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. What is the purpose of the sit at home? What was the plan? What did it hope to achieve? Now, you would check your achievements and see, is this going to be, will this help my economy? Will this help the cause grow? Or will it hamper it? Now, when you start taking actions, and I know that there are a lot of people who will take advantage of what is going on. We've taken stories in the papers here where hoodlums are now being the ones enforcing the sit at home. They are damaging goods. They are, robbing people. They are causing a lot of mayhem in the name of enforcing sit at home. Now, how would it benefit the people of Biafra? How would it benefit IPOB that their children are not able to go to school and lose a full session? That means that they have to repeat. What is the benefit? So you don't get upset with your finger and then cut it off. How do we go back and ask ourselves, the people you are fighting for their release, the leader you are fighting for the release in detention, his children are not there. His children are not in
Most of the funders are living abroad.
Their schools are not hampered. Their economy, everything is okay with them. They are doing well in their businesses and all of that. So let us use, for me, I would appeal that the Igbo people use wisdom. Nobody is saying that your agitations are wrong. We are asking for a referendum. That's what you've been asking for. And we are talking to the United Nations. Let us do things properly so that at the end of the day, you're not counting the losses of that you would have avoided if you had gone through the right way. So if you hamper, okay, for instance, banks are not really working. Government is on one hand threatening people, you must appear at work, and then hoodlums are waiting for them if you appear to deal with them. Things are not working. The economy is shutting down. Education, we have come to education. Only God knows tomorrow if it will affect the feeding of the people. Why don't we take a step back and review this process? So we have decided to sit at home. Till today, the federal government has not released our leader. What else can we do? How can they hear us better?
Even also the emotional torture these children would have to go through. Because, yes, they've changed. I mean, I saw the videos and the pictures. These kids were scampering for safety, even their teachers. The emotional torture they would have to go through, aside from the fact that they were traumatized by seeing people shooting in the air. The fact that I have to lose a whole year. So parents are having to deal with how to explain to their children that, because of this is at home, you can't do your examination that you'll be studying for. So there is a ripple effect. For every action that we're taking concerning this, there's a ripple effect. And how do we begin to reconcile this with the ultimate objective of getting a Biafra, of getting the self-determination? Because, as BC has said, it's right to do things the right way. There are wrong ways of doing things. And this obviously is not helping out. Somebody will say that, oh, in this situation, everybody loses, and they're okay with it.
No,
but
the federal government is not losing.
There's also the part of we're playing to the pity or sentiments of people and not necessarily educating people. So IPOB and these few select who've gotten their hands, gotten some weapons and ammunition on their hands are the ones agitating. An average Easterner, when you ask them, what exactly is this agitation? How far do you want to go? we are one Nigeria. Oh, you mean that my brother is in the north? So we need to, maybe they need to first of all get the collective agreement of their people before you start to impose hardship on your people.
They could have gotten already.
There's a likelihood. There's a large likelihood. The Commissioner for Information did not echo IPOB's stand yesterday. Yeah. So there's a larger possibility that they are forcing their agitations on the people of the Southwest.
Possible.
That's
a possibility. Let me take Caleb. Caleb, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
From Imo State. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Okay, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
What I want to say about this issue is that the way they're going about it is so wrong. Before, it was whenever Nnamdi Kanu is going to court that they will declare it at home. Yes. So now it's affecting us seriously. If it's only when he's going to court, it is understandable. This Biafra is an ideology which cannot be destroyed. That's the truth. Now we need orientation and education so that we know how to follow these things and not destroying ourselves. We are doing ourselves, hurting ourselves. So they should apply professionalism in this, and everybody get it right. When you destroy people in pursuing your cause, it's very, very wrong. And people are, the things are so strong now in Imo State now. Fuel is very expensive, and people are going through hardship. So I appeal to them, please. Whenever it's going to court, declare it. Yes, people will respond, but not the way that we're doing it now. That's going to United Nations, float in every legal way. Self-determination is a right. So please, I appeal to our people. Let them float in corruption.
Thank you very much. I think we're all echoing the same thing in different ways. But let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take more tweets and phone calls. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So as we mentioned earlier, the ladies believe in the freedom of expression, freedom of speech. So every group, every organization have a right to express themselves and do as they wish. However, when it begins to impede on the rights of others to write examination or for children to be able to do that which they're supposed to do, that's where we as parents will have a problem. So, and that's why we're having this conversation. So today we're still talking about IPOB's inability to, IPOB not allowing children to sit for their WAEC this week for their English examinations. You're going to take a few messages that we got. Yes, please.
Oladidi says, when a proscribed organization is holding a whole region to ransom, now wow. And then here, Goodby says, the thing tire me. Asking people to sit at home, how come they can't ask people to give people money to survive? Olamide says, the issue is an extremely serious one. It has the potential to release hell on earth, not a joking matter at all. But Olamide also is schooling me now, says, in the history of America, 90% of the colonists were content British subjects. The activities of the 10% forced everyone to choose sides. In the end, 50% opposed and 50% supported the rebels, saying that, you know, it doesn't matter.
So I think a sit-at-home order is a good way to protest. I mean, it's not violence, it's a non-violent way to protest. I'm not against if you're trying to make a point and express your opinion by asking your followers to sit at home. But don't force others who do not align with that. Don't introduce violence. Sit at home as a shopman, as a businessman. If you say, I believe in what IPOB is doing, I'm not going to open my business. Problem. But don't force others who are not aligned to that to do the same thing. Let me take this call from Enugu. Love, are you there? Love, you're live. Go ahead, please. Hello? Okay, I think we're having connection issues.
I like what you said about not allowing violence to be the order of the day. So one of the problems we have in this country is when we have a good idea on how we want government to sit up and do something, and we let it linger for so long, criminal elements find their way into it, and then they begin to make a mess of our regional plan. And this is the point where I believe that the leaders who are calling for this should take a step back, revise what you're asking people to do, and find other ways. Because at the end of the day, when it becomes really violent, you cannot even excuse the reason you started it in the first place. Everybody just looks at you like you planned to have it this way, and you can't explain yourself out. This is where I expect educated leaders in IPOB to come together and say, okay, criminal elements are taking advantage of what we're doing. Our plan is not to, stop businesses and burn trucks and stop children from going to school. This is where we need to step back and see how we can revise this. I remember there was also a time that even Nnamdi Kanu himself suspended the sit at home. So I'm sure he foresaw that these sort of things are going to happen. But at the end of the day, when your leader is away, other people who want to, take... might not have the same ideas that you have. And I think the government needs to... I wouldn't say do something again, like you said, because this is something we cannot explain. But it seems to me like they are handicapped.
He has gone out now. The governor of Anambra, for example, the governor of Anambra. Yes, Anambra. Yeah. He went out to open stores because Anambra is the economic nerve. Yeah. You cannot shut down Anambra State.
Activities have started coming back. Okay. Hotels are opening. This report this morning that I read, I think in the Tribune, is that they have taken the governor, schools have started opening, markets are opening, and things are getting back.
Okay, let me take this call from Owerri. Good morning, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please, Mr. Emele.
Yes, my name is Dr. Emele Hyacinth. I call from Owerri.
Yes.
The Eastern Happy. I want to say I'm happy with the discussion, and I'm happy the way it's going. And I want to give you a clear picture of what is happening here.
Okay.
You see, as we speak, Owerri is just shut down. There's no movement in Owerri.
Wow.
First, I want to tell you that as a Nigerian, I am an advocate of a one united country that is strong. But one of the issues that we have discovered is that the people are beginning to get fed up with the government in power. You discover that majority of them who are in government, they say one thing and do the other. And that's why you now see that people are beginning to pay an unseen hand. Those who are declaring that we don't know them. But you go to the roads, you see that the roads are empty. Let me tell you, even yesterday when the cities are beginning to become normal in Owerri, I was in the town. In fact, those who see moving in the town are those who have emergencies. The town was very empty. Today, as I speak to you, I've also run out to do one or two things. I'm a medical doctor. There are no persons on the roads. So the people are beginning to obey unseen forces because the government in power has refused to do the right thing.
Emele, let me ask you a quick question. The president was in your state recently. What do you make of his visit?
Now, on the day that the president came on Thursday last week, we also heard that there was a sit-at-home order by IPOB. Some of us are afraid because you don't need to come out, because if you are killed by a police, what you get is just 1 minute silence. So that's why people are afraid of coming out, because you don't know when it will happen and where it will happen.
Right.
So on Thursday, all of us were in our homes watching the president's jet fly above us. So that is the truth of the matter. A lot of people.
Thank you, Emele. Let me take this call from Orlando. He's been waiting from Enugu. Are you there, Mr. Orlando?
I'm here. Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I am in Enugu. I am a radio presenter. I couldn't go to work Monday and Tuesday, like yesterday and today. But the few times I went to work, we really talked about it. So I decided to ask the people in Enugu, what do you think about this sit-at-home? Because it's affecting a whole lot of businesses, banks, and I decided to just ask the people what they think about it. And honestly, the people are scared. They are sitting at home out of fear.
Wow.
Not because they are obeying IPOB. They are tired. There are people that if they don't go out a day, they can't feed themselves for that day. So a lot of people have come out to say, okay, fine, we understand we are fighting for something. Can we come back to the drawing table and re-strategize? This is affecting us. This morning I was talking to a friend. I said, the truth is, the media in the country is not even talking about this sit-at-home. That's to tell you how less important it is to the country. We are the state that is losing. When it's 200 naira in Enugu State, they are holding for. A lot of things are expensive here in Enugu State. And a whole lot of people are complaining. It's not because the people are trying to fight for IPOB. Yes, we all have different that concerning this, there are people that are somewhere gaining from this, and there are people that are somewhere suffering from this. Most of these people that are putting out compulsory sit at home, their children are not even in this country. Their children are somewhere going to school, enjoying the free will of life, while everybody here in the Southeast, everybody, their hands are tied.
Thank you very much, Orlando, for sharing your thoughts with us. I have another caller who'll be holding. Mr. Ibrahim from Gombe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Actually, what is happening in the Southeast is very, very beautiful. These are people that are very industrious and self-reliant, most of them. Unfortunately, they found themselves in a situation that is very, very precarious, very difficult. But I believe part of the problem of the Igbos are their elites. They seem to be, most of their elites seem to be so selfish that they only look at themselves. Now, look at it, for example. What happened in the Southwest? When Sunday Iboho came up with this thing, though it was also similar to the Igbos, all the Yoruba leaders rallied around him and gave him the maximum support. Yes, Nnamdi Kanu may be doing it the wrong way, but it is because he was betrayed by the Igbo leaders, and that's why he decided to go in solo and take it that way.
Oh, we lost Ibrahim.
So there's a point I wanted to make. I'm saying, if we have agitations and we allow our youth to get educated, it might be this generation of Biafrans do not have they don't have the solution, but these agitations are valid. Continuous education of their youth can bring better solutions, and they might be the ones to achieve it. When you stall and impede their growth and development like that, you might just end up achieving what Boko Haram is trying to do eventually, in the sense that you help them lose interest or you help them completely lose value for education. So it's important, extremely important to any valid agitation to allow education flow, no matter where it is found. Even if it is in another language, somewhere outside this country or within this country, or within the Southeast, let the youth, the young ones there be educated. No matter what you're doing, it's possible that you might be at this for another 100 years, but a generation to come will do it in a flick of a
and I think
magic wand.
I'd like to echo what BC said earlier, that I think the leaders of IPOB need to sit down and re-strategize. Yes, sit at home is a valid way to protest. However, there has to be terms of engagement. There's got to be something that is outside the bounds of sitting at home, either the education, the ambulances. There should be things that there should be rules of engagement. Okay, this is how we're going to sit at home. Only stores.
Yes.
So that you don't end up hurting yourself. More because
those small businesses who are daily earners.
Yes,
what would be their resort, you know?
I mean, we're trying so hard to bring back and revive the Southeast because it shows that they are the most industrious human beings in this country. So that's
the strength they have. And with this, you may end up losing that.
This might not be the strength.
It's really painful. And I mean, we have to wrap up on this segment, but I think it's important to remind Nigerians that nobody here is against agitations because it's the right of every citizen and every group to agitate for one thing or the other. But what we would not accept is stopping the education of young people, which is their right, their natural God-given right to be educated. And I think it's wrong for any group to stop them from seeking that education. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we'll move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, as the controversy surrounding VAT collection deepens, join us to discuss more on this fiscal a fiscal and tax policy expert and alumnus of Harvard Kennedy School of Government on comparative tax policy and administration from Harvard University. We have Mr. Olumuyiwa Adebaya. Welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome.
Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
So in the last 1 or 2 weeks, we've been discussing VAT starting from the governor of real estate, Lagos State who came, and then the FIRS, now they're going to court. But a lot of Nigerians are still confused. They don't really understand what these numbers are. So, and even yesterday, I think Ajuri was speaking recently saying that, what is the hula baloo about? The most revenue that's coming from VAT, the federal government is making it from the ports and making it from the NDAs, you know, that states are not even the ones generating the most of revenue. So we'd like you to help us break it down so the person watching television right now can understand what we're talking about. What are the numbers looking at? What are the percentages? Who gets what? How does it come in? And how is it shared? And why are the states insisting that they keep their own share?
Okay, thank you very much. I think to discuss this, we need to more or less know about the history. Okay, VAT is a form of indirect tax that has grown over time. And I think the first country to introduce VAT in the world was France, and I think dated back 1954. And over time, VAT has been seen as the most easiest form of taxation or taxes that you can more or less administer. And it also more or less increases activity. It increases based on activity levels. And over time, countries have started to develop that. And again, before VAT, we still have trade taxes, levies, and some other things. Now, let us bring it back to Nigerian context. I think far back in the 60s, 70s, there have been trade taxes, okay? And due to the fact that it's a mix of military regime and civilian regime, therefore, there was no much more issues about states controlling resources and federal. Right. Okay, but as we move on, in '86, there was more or less 6 tax introduced by various military administrators in states. And by 1993, I think the former head of state, which is President Ibrahim Babangida, decided to more or less try to consolidate it and try to more or less make it standardized, because some states varies in terms of application and administration. And that's what brought about the VAT decree, which took effect 1st of January 1994. Now, this has been there all through to the moment. But what was much more unique was in 1999, we turned to the democratic government. And then there was a new constitution. But unfortunately, one way or the other, whether by omission or what it may be, VAT preceded that constitution, but VAT was excluded from the list. And there are 2 lists that the constitution gives rise to: exclusive list and the concurrent list. Exclusive list means anything contained there is exclusive to the federal government to legislate, to administer. Concurrent means both the federal government and the state can jointly or individually administer. Now, anything that is not in exclusive list or concurrent list automatically is seen as a residual item, which is within the purview of the states. Now, let's now move back to when Lagos State was cash constrained during the President Olusegun Obasanjo period. Lagos State have to use its own ingenuity, because when you are pushed to the wall, you think out of the box, to come up with some other taxes. And they saw how efficient it was to boosting the sales revenue. And they tried to now expand it further by introducing a form of sales tax, which was contested. And Lagos State eventually lost at the apex court, because they said sales tax has been replaced by the provision of the VAT Act. But the argument of Lagos State then was not on the constitutionality, because the court only adjudicate on what is before it.
Yes.
Now, Lagos State went back to more or less look at the books and say, okay, let us introduce another form of consumption tax, which was on hotel and recreational activities, restaurants. And the association also took them to court, but they are unable to win because it falls within the purview
of the state.
Yeah, based on issue of hospitality and recreation. And also based on the fact that in 2015, there was an amendment order to the Taxes and Other Levies Act, which deals with the collection list. And that's how Lagos State was able to win that. Okay, and that is on one side. But now, River State government have to go back to the drawing board. Probably they learn from Lagos State or from other means, and they approach the court, the Federal High Court, to present the matter. And what was the matter is that the constitutionality that this VAT Act is illegal. Illegal on the fact that the Constitution that gives you the power to more or less create an act or any regulation does not give you that power with respect to VAT because it's not in exclusive list. Neither is it in. And it's on that premise that judgment was delivered.
Wow.
Now, let us fast track to today. The reality is what is good for us is what we need to look at.
Yeah.
And when we are looking at us, we are looking at the nation as a whole. When we are looking at us, we are looking at individuals, the masses, the average people on the streets. When we are looking at us, we look at the taxpayers. What will not be onerous to them, what will not create additional burden, and what will not create confusion. And that is where we are today. And the question then is, how do we move from this point? Okay, there are legal perspectives, which I will not be able to speak to because I'm not a legal practitioner.
But I want to break this because I really want Nigerians to understand. Because you have a graph here that's telling us the, I think it's the tax index, the tax-to-GDP ratio. And we have the lowest in the whole of Africa. One of the lowest, I would say, from this graph. Yeah. And it's like 6.3%. So how do we help Nigerians understand how that it's important that we pay taxes? We are so spoiled in this country. If we do one small tax, now Labour starts carrying placard. This Labour, I have my graphs today. They will just carry placard. What is it, Jack Robinson? They'll come out again. And they say, yes, tell them. But please, so help us understand, because if we hear tax, our ears go up. We know we don't have to pay tax, so tell them to go and tax their salaries first, their escargot that they're traveling abroad. Tell them, that's what we're hearing.
Okay. Issue about tax is dated back to the period of Christ, where even people approached Christ to complain about tax collectors. And I think he said, give what belongs to Caesar, and give what belongs to God, It's an issue that will outlive us, because what brings about tax is compulsion, not a contractual agreement. And that's the difference, because you are compelled to pay whether government deliver on a social good or not. And that's where the issue of labor comes in, which means you won't be able to blame labor, because if tax revenue increases by way of increasing tax rates, or introducing new taxes, and labor income is not affected, labor cannot more or less access good health care, housing scheme, education, and all sorts of things. Therefore, the question then is why
what are you doing with
increasing it?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's leave that. Let's come back to the issue of tax revenues. Based on the OECD statistics in 2018, okay, we discovered that Nigeria falls within the lowest bound of it, about 6.3%, whereas we have the likes of Seychelles, Tunisia, running up to about 32% of the GDP. And the GDP is a measure of output within a country or an economy. And the question then is, if most African countries, Africa average is about 23 to 27%, and Nigeria, which seems to be the giant of Africa, is 6.3%. Therefore, where does the problem lie? It varies, because it depends on if we have all of the facts before us and we are sincere. Now, one of the issues might be that our GDP, is it a representative of our output? So that probably our GDP might have been overstated, and it might be understated too. Again, issue of tax revenue, can we say aspect of inefficiency also might have more or less reduced it on the premise that people might be paying taxes, but not everything goes into the
not captured.
cost. Okay, many things like that. Also, on the issue of the tax base, is our tax base expanded enough? And what does that mean? That is areas to which you subject people to taxes.
Yes.
Now, Nigeria more or less operates within more of informal sector, where people make money continually, but they are not within the tax nets. And therefore, that's why some of us, tax professionals, always fight a battle of saying, you don't just increase tax rates, because what you are doing is that you are punishing more those that are in the net, which means there are many people outside the net.
Yes.
You have to do it first.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Therefore, but because you want to increase revenue, you are increasing the rate. And at the end of the day...
Let me go on a quick break. We have to pause this for a second and come back and take some more comments and questions from the ladies. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have a tax expert, Mr. Olumuyiwa Adebayo, with us. Nima, you had a question for the break.
Yes, Aduri was reported to have said that, you know, the high number of VAT from Lagos is as a result of the amenities that the federal government own within the state. But I beg to disagree, because the activities of these people operating within the state and the effect of the activities fall back on Lagos. Apapa has case in study. The roads and everything there. The federal government has visited a few times, but I don't think that they have the will to do anything. And the weight of the effect of our Papa's activities fall back on the state government. We continually, and that of the depots, you know, the tank farms that exist in Ijegu, we come back to the state within, which is the local authority within here, to pressure for development and setting regulations. So is it true that because they have the amenities, so they should decide how it goes, or Lagos State, who has to deal with the attendant effect of their activities, should have the determining factor on how it goes?
Thank you very much. A coin has two sides, and it depends on the perspective where you're seated or where you stand. It's correct, and also Lagos State has its own argument also, and you have also more or less buttressed the two arguments. Federal government infrastructure has made Lagos State a commercial hub. There's no doubt, because Lagos State was once a capital. But again, that has also put tolls and effects, negative effects, because of the concentration on Lagos State. The question then is, a win-win situation is not an argument for who is right and who is wrong. Do you understand? And that speaks to how solution can be provided. We can't go either way, the way federal government wants it, neither the way the state wants it. Because at the end of the day, if we are to go either of the ways, the population, the people are the ones that will be at a losing end. Because the beauty in disguise with all of this conundrum is that people are now awakening towards their responsibility as taxpayers to question, to communicate, to more or less advocate and all sorts of things. And this will probably increase level of productivity of states. And if you read my article, I said why the conundrum and the hula baloo about VAT administration in Nigeria. And the hula baloo is what we are hearing up and down, and also further argument about what's it called, Court of Appeal, giving stay of execution. But lawyers, senior lawyers, at both sides are interpreting it in another way, which means you are creating more confusion. That's the hula baloo. But the main conundrum is this. Can we have a solution? The question is yes, but there's no solution that will be permanent, because it's a puzzle. And to shock you is that this is not only a problem in Nigeria. It's a problem across the globe.
Even the Constitutional Review fix it?
Yes. Constitutional Review will fix it. But Constitutional Review is just a document. The spirit behind the review is what will likely fix it. But again, it won't be a permanent solution.
A constitutional review that tilts towards what the chairman of FIRS is pushing now, remove VAT, take it to the exclusive list, would that be fixing it or just, frustrating states and creating further
Okay, now, the constitutional review that is going to fix it is the one that comes with sincerity and equity. Now, and what does that mean? It means that let us go back to it. What is the cause of this argument? The question is, states that feel they contribute more to economic activity that generate VAT have felt that they are shortchanged.
Yeah.
Are they right? Yes. But again, we need to ask ourselves, most of the data that has been put outside might not be correct. Or validated, and I will explain. Now, when you say VAT in Lagos State is 55, 50, 40, it varies. People just throw out figures. It's because Nigeria has not got to a level of annexing data and making data public for you and I to see with our common eyes and ask questions. Therefore, the essence now is that let us have data. 2, the nature of collecting data and stratifying data is even appropriate. And that is where I'm going to with respect to Lagos State. Now, when you say Lagos State collects 55%, okay, you look at it that where does VAT come from? VAT comes from import, which is from custom. VAT comes from non-resident company, which FRS have power over it, for services that are rendered into Nigeria, which shows a level of significant economic presence. And VAT comes from internal activities where the states now have purview of what you consume in Lagos, what you consume in Ogun, in Zamfara, and etc. Now, the question then is, let us pick multinationals in Nigeria. Most of them have their head office headquarters in Lagos. Let us pick big companies in Nigeria. Most of them have their head office headquarters in Lagos. Now, the VAT that relates to activities across the country, give example of telcos. All of them are in Lagos. Therefore, the head office will be the one preparing the VAT documents, doing all sorts of things, and paying to FRS in Lagos. Before now, everything counts for Lagos. Because then, nobody bothered, because everything still go back to the center, and they share. But now, the issue there today is that, will Lagos State be entitled to higher VAT collection? Yes, but not necessarily to that extent, because by the time you remove headquarter effects and some other things. And also, Lagos State has come with its own argument from the law that also says imports that comes from Lagos ports should come to it. And therefore, there's another argument about that, that how will you likely collect imports coming from the ports in which federal government infrastructure and federal government is the one that have power to deal on issues that borders on international trade.
So that's why, okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, most states actually depend on the federal government due to their poor internally generated revenue. And now that some states are wanting to take ownership of their VAT, what is going to happen to those states that really do not generate enough?
Yeah, and that's why I said, let's look at the spirit. Everybody is fighting a good fight, but the approach and the strategy of the fight matters a lot so that we all don't lose at the end of the day. And what am I trying to say? It might be inappropriate to conclude that other states might lose. What is going to trigger is that they too will put up their thinking cap. And the same way Lagos State did during the regime, administration of our former presidents. That's what other states will do. And I'll give you a simple example. What impact the common masses are exempted from VAT? And what are those things? Agricultural produce, basic food items. And where do they come from? They also come from the north. What then would the north do? They will introduce VAT law on that. And what would that create? Inflation.
Expensive.
And one thing is that when you look at it, we have to look at it holistically. That's why I call it a conundrum. It's a puzzle. There's no permanent solution. Situations and time will change. That it might skew to the other side. Now, let us say that agriculture is now subjected to VAT. agriculture is the only nature of business that is sustainable throughout the whole universe. That
no matter what season,
no matter, everybody must eat. The question then is, if we go that route, at the end of the day, they might even be generating more than those that are proclaimed.
So you're right, it is a confusing state right now. And I know the senator of Lagos State has been asking for a special status for Lagos State for so many years. I mean, she's been going back and forth on this because this would have actually helped to solve some of these problems. But unfortunately, they left it to fester, and that's why we're still having this. We have to wrap up on this issue of VAT, but I think you've been able to help us understand the basics, the understanding, to have a in-depth knowledge on where it started from. In a nutshell, I'd like you to... You said that there's really, the solution is going to be evolving based on the times. But as of today, how do we help Nigerians understand the benefits of this entire conundrum? Okay,
I think my plea would be that all parties, all stakeholders must come together and let us resolve this. And let us take away the issue of inequality out of it, and that will address it. For example, when you look at the way VAT is shared, 20% is shared based on derivation, 50% is shared equally, and 30% is shared based on population. The question is that mechanism fair? That's number one. Which means if it's not fair, how can we make it fair? Two, let us go back to the issue of the data. It then means that there will be more burden to the tax administrator and to the businesses to tend to stratify their taxes appropriately. For example, if telecommunication sells data online and people stay everywhere within Nigeria, you can't even know where they are buying the card from. Therefore, how do you apportion on what basis? Okay, let's also look at the issue of the input and output. Probably is a technical word, whereby if I buy, I pay VAT. When I sell, I charge VAT, but I recover the one I've paid because you are only paying on the marginal increase in the value you have created. Therefore, how do we offset those things? Rivers State is 7.5%, Lagos State is 6%. But the question then is, if I buy goods in Rivers State and I pay 7.5%, and in Lagos State, I'm charging 6%, who do I recover that differential from?
All right, we have to wrap up. Thank you so much, Mr. Olumiyu Adebayo, for sharing this with us. We'll bring you back because the conversation is still on, especially because the case is in court. And we're all waiting to see how the courts would rule on this. But it's interesting to have a better knowledge of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for joining us this morning. It's Tuesday. We can't but have a topic on health. In a moment, we'll be discussing childhood cancer. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. This time of the year set aside to recognize the children and families affected by childhood cancers and to emphasize the importance of supporting research on these devastating conditions. Joining us on the show is Dr. Adedayo Joseph, who is a clinical radiation oncologist at the NSIA Luth Cancer Center. Welcome to the show, madam.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you on the show. So every year we talk about childhood cancer, which is something that many families dread. But could you give us some numbers that we're seeing today on childhood cancer, what the numbers are looking like, and how we can begin to push more awareness so that people know that it exists amongst us?
Okay, so thank you. That's a very good question. Numbers. I think the most important numbers to know about childhood cancer is that other countries, developed countries, have a survival rate as high as 90%. Wow. And we have survival rates ranging about 30% for children with cancer. And I think there's no number that summarizes the entire situation better than that, you know, and it is the reason why we have to continue to work to improve outcomes for these children because they can survive, but they are not surviving.
Okay, so when we hear cancer, we hear the cancer in addition with the pricing. for treatment, what are the treatment options available, and are they readily affordable for parents?
Again, that's an excellent question, because people talk to me about all these other options, alternatives that are out there. And the truth about it is that the treatment for cancer is surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy. Chemotherapy includes many different types of chemotherapy. And when I say chemotherapy, I use it as a blanket statement for everything: hormonal therapy, immune therapy, and then the classic cytotoxic chemo that everybody knows and is sort of afraid of.
Scary.
Yes. In terms of availability, it's not as available as you would like it to be, but it is not as unavailable as people think it is. What I mean is that there are many times people haven't even tried to seek the right treatment, you know, so it is available. It may not be easily accessible or extremely affordable, but it exists in the country, better than some other countries. In terms of affordability, cancer treatment is expensive everywhere in the world, and it is one of the most common ways that a family goes into catastrophic bankruptcy. It is expensive anywhere you check it. The thing about it is that we don't have excellent health insurance coverage in Nigeria. But as things get better, hopefully that situation will improve, especially for children.
Dr. Dayo, aside finances, what other factors contribute to the low numbers of survival rates in Nigeria?
The single most important contributing factor at this point is because the children don't arrive at the pediatric oncologist until they have really advanced and incurable disease. And for a long time, we used to blame the victim. For a long time, we used to say that people don't present to the hospital early, they've gone to church, they've gone to pray. But what we have found with children is that they actually do present early. A child that is sick and is not going to pretend. And a parent, no matter their situation, will take their sick child to somebody they consider to be a healthcare professional. Unfortunately, that child gets treated for malaria and typhoid, and over again, and then the diagnosis is not made. That is the single most important reason.
But there are some kinds of cancers that don't even present itself early. There are a few that you just think he's okay. You don't see any lump outside. There's nothing protrudes, and you just think the child is fine. How does the parent know or catch it early?
That's absolutely true, but it's more applicable to adult cancers. We don't want parents looking at their child, examining the child for cancer. Nobody wants to think about cancer and a child in the same sentence. And I don't really expect any parent to start touching their child and feeling for a lump. The truth about it is that much of our effort is directed towards healthcare professionals, so that when the child does see a doctor, the doctor knows that this is not malaria and is able to refer that child for specialist attention. What I do tell parents is that make sure that your child is seeing a pediatrician. If you have a sick child, you should be seeing somebody who is an expert at treating children. Otherwise, you're not in the right hands.
So, before I come to you, BC, I'm told that we have a survivor who's going to be joining us on the phone, Adekemi Oyewusi. Are you there? Hello, Adekemi. He's a childhood cancer survivor. Good morning, Adekemi. Are you there? We're still having technical issues. BC, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, what are some of the ways that parents can cope with children that have cancer? Is there like a support group? Is there somewhere they can go to and have, you know, understand that other people are in this together and we are working through it? Is there something that would at least encourage them to come out?
There are a couple of things. So first of all, in terms of support group, Dorcas Cancer Foundation has a very active support group for parents of children living with cancer. But what we have found is the single overarching concern for parents is the cost of treatment. There's no point in a support group when the parent can't afford to pay for their child's treatment. So to that end, we've done a lot of advocacy work. We've partnered with industry and private organizations. For example, the center where I work, the NSI Youth Cancer Center, gives all children a 50% discount. Yes. And, you know, we have those kind of advocacy programs as well. We have the Pediatric Cancer Access Program where the child doesn't pay a dime, and companies and private individuals are paying for the entire treatment. So there are measures in place, but we have to get to the point where these measures are policy and not an exception.
What are the most common childhood cancer cases that you have? I mean, no, most adults have the breast, they have the pancreatic. What childhood cancers have you seen the most?
In children, the most common cancer is leukemia, and that presents with repeated infections, bruising. You know, the child is repeatedly ill. That's the most common way that you'll find leukemia. But there are other ones. Retinoblastoma is a common one in Nigeria. It arises from the retinal layer of the eye. Wilms tumor is a common one, which is from the kidney, and incidentally is one of the most curable cancers in the world. Wilms tumor, yes. Even retinoblastoma, for a long time I tell people that when I attend pediatric cancer conferences, they don't discuss survival. they talk about side effects and quality of life, fertility, long-term effects. They don't discuss survival anymore because it is almost taken for granted that the child will survive. You know?
So is for this through surgery or chemotherapy? Because a parent thinking, how will I put my child through chemotherapy? I mean,
it's a combination of everything usually. But this is what I have found. Children are more resilient than adults. They tolerate treatment better. They don't complain, they don't whine, they don't feel sorry for themselves. They're stronger than we think that they are. You would hardly...
Emotionally too.
Yeah, somehow. They're somehow able to just manage. I find in my personal experience working with kids, they actually cope better than adults.
Okay, let me take Adekemi Oyewusi. Hello, Kemi, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
And thanks for...
Well done for the good work.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story with us. So, tell us about your own story. What cancer were you diagnosed of, and how was the entire process for you to get to this point?
So, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma, and I was 8 years old. I was still in primary school, to be precise. So, it started like malaria. I've been treating malaria for a while, going back and forth to the hospital. After some weeks, I was transferred to another hospital to see what it could be. And it was there that one of the doctors said, this has to go to a teaching hospital. So I moved to a teaching hospital, and that was when the whole thing was diagnosed. So I had 2 years of my life out of school because I had to be on admission and do my chemo rejection and all of that. Because I was quite young, I didn't know so much about what it was. And then I just knew it was Hodgkin lymphoma. What it was cancer related. I didn't know as such. But I was curious because of the kind of treatment that I was always subjected to. I mean, people around me look at me at the hospital and they are saying, no, I'm one kind of special child. So it was a lot of, how do I call it, a lot of trauma for me. I couldn't do like any other child. I couldn't play like any other kid. And especially when I had my head going off, it was kind of difficult for me because I just woke up one morning and I had that it had changed color and it was falling off. So that alone was another trauma for me. So it wasn't something that I was so much aware of. I just knew that I was under a lot of pressure medically and all of that. I didn't really know what was it that I was doing until when I actually got through that first stage after the 2 years, and I had to go back to the hospital, and I got to know more and more about what was it that I was being treated for. That was when I became aware of what it was. And since then, I've been trying to look for how to get people of my caliber that have it. You get, so I kept checking online, even as an adult, even now I kept checking online about it. And that's why I came about Doctors Cancer Foundation, to be able to talk about it. Like, I've not really seen someone in my state that had it and I could relate the story with. For me, it was an entirely different journey for me.
All right, the line, thank you very much, Kemi. The line isn't so clear, but I think we're able to capture most of what she said.
Yeah. I wanted Dr. Doyle to talk about this month's theme for this month's awareness, because I know this is a yearly activity.
Oh, okay, so the theme is Children Are Gold. The color for childhood cancer is gold. It's a gold ribbon, the ribbon for children. And so it's just a play on words to say that children are gold. They're gold because they're very strong. They're gold because they're very precious. They're gold because they shine. You know, so.
Yeah, can cancer be avoided for children?
No, not really. There's no way to prevent cancer in children because they don't have the environmental exposure risk factors that adults have. Even in adults. So yes, you can get vaccinated and that prevents some cancers. And then maybe, you know, if you avoid smoking and you live healthy, but it's not 100% guarantee of protection, even for adults when you make healthy lifestyle choices. In children, it doesn't even apply because the cancer is at the level of the genes. There's no environmental exposure that has caused it, so you can't prevent it.
So, I heard there's something called BRCA test, where maybe a family member died of cancer, and as a person, you can get tested and then preempt or know if your children might have cancer, and then you can begin to be aware. I mean, does that test exist in Nigeria, and how do you ensure that? Because if a woman is just getting married and she's having children, and she's worried that her mother died of cancer and she's about to have children, are there anything she can do to...
So it absolutely exists in Nigeria. The first person that gets tested is the person who is diagnosed with cancer, right? And if that person is BRCA positive, then we then advise their family members who are at risk to get tested. It is available. It is expensive, again. And yes, if a person who doesn't have cancer gets tested and they are positive, then there are preventive measures that they can take, many different options. Yes.
Great, great.
So is there any test, no, general test, you know, like the way adults go for yearly checkups to be sure nothing is wrong? Do they have that for children just every year?
No, again, we don't screen children for cancer because no, we shouldn't. It's not common enough to warrant putting a child through invasive, uncomfortable, frightening tests. You know, when there's nothing wrong. But when there is something wrong, you just need to find it early. You know.
So what can we do to support Doctors Foundation? Because I know that, I mean, every year Nima is quite active in that organization. I know she does.
Champion.
Yeah, she tries really to remind us all the time that this is good Doctors Foundation and do something, you know. So I see that, but what else can we do? Because the truth is that there are a lot of women, children out there that need help. They need resources.
You know, the thing about it that I say is that I just want, and I mean, my friends are from me, I just want everyone to be an advocate. Just talk about it. Bring up the conversation and have the conversation. If you're in the room with a policymaker, talk to them, ask them, what are they doing about, you know, cancer in children in their community or in their consistency? I don't know.
Consistency.
You know, so I just want everyone, at least for the month of September, be an advocate. Use whatever means you can on your platform, in your private conversations. Advocate for children living with cancer in Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I think we can wrap up on that. Do we have any comments for her on social media? Because I know lots of people watch the show and many of them are having this issue. The repeated malaria treatment, repeated typhoid treatment, and they don't want to accept.
It's diagnosed together, malaria and typhoid.
Yes.
It's
they don't
ridiculous.
want to accept the possibility.
If it's hereditary.
Yes. So,
it can be.
Wow.
It can be, but not very commonly. Most of the time, it's not.
so
But it can be.
someone said that there was a time, Andrew, in Street Time, is saying, I remember a time when Nigerians hardly had cancerous diseases. It was only for the rich. Lord have mercy. Was this?
That's not true. What the reason why you think it was for the rich is because those are people being diagnosed. Those are people getting tested and the diagnosis was being made. It's not true that we didn't have. We did. We just didn't diagnose and treat it.
Let me wrap up with Kemi. Kemi, what's your final message to this morning for people who have children that are living with cancer and are trying to get it treated, or even children who are going through what you've been through? Is there any message for them this morning?
Looking at was a recording my university.
The network is really bad. We can't hear you. Want to try that again?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Try to speak a bit louder. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that my advice basically is for the parents of the children, because as a child, it may be difficult for them to express themselves. So I'll just see that the parents keep being strong for the kids. And I hope that our health sector can get better to able to support this. It is really, really dead, to be honest. It's not funny.
Thank you very much, Kemi. Any final words for us, Dr. Joseph?
Be an advocate.
Okay. All right, that's all we can take. So as we said, be an advocate. This month, we're talking about childhood cancer. Wherever you are, let's remember that there are children living with cancer and they need support in every way they can. And also, if you're having children who have repeated malaria, repeated typhoid diagnosis, please take them to a specialist because you just might need better treatment and care. That's all we can take on the show today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.